We definitely have people with good attitudes. For whatever reason, we've been very blessed in the fact that the people that are hired at this bank are kind of expected to be nice to each other. And we have a lot of customers that walk in and just say that they came in and they loved the fact that they could tell that we truly were happy.
Go down the line, if you don't mind.
You want to do the agenda first, Mayor, or like the DAI? I think we could do.
Which one first? I think it's
If we could, let's do 10 or 10 minutes for that 10. So what? Melissa, Les, and Glenn are here to continue the discussions that we had last week regarding their recommendation of a proposed development partner for downtown efforts. So with that, I don't know who's leading the charge.
I've just got a few things that I want to say, and but obviously last week we visited with you concerning the potential of a development downtown developer for kind of what we're looking at as a public-private partnership that would work on key issues involving downtown development, really focusing in the Civic Center area. I mean, that's the area that we've been concentrating. And of course, you heard from that developer, David Wallace of Wallace. You know, after about 2 years of working on downtown development as DAI, and even before that, and the group that put together this strategic action plan, in kind of determining how communities have achieved successful redevelopment, the DAI board really feels that this is the direction ahead. An initial key public-private partnership like the one that we are proposing here has really been a vital ingredient in successful redevelopment projects like the one that we're trying to undertake here. A major part of our agreement, DAI's agreement with the city, and part of our job is to recruit and bring developers to the table. That's one of the things that you've asked us to do for potential downtown projects. And we recommend Wallace because they have a track record, the experience, the understanding of both public and private sides of the development issues, and the integrity to carry out a partnership in our community. Just to make sure you're clear, they were recruited to come here. They didn't come here to, they came here at our request to do this, not to, one of the road shows they were doing to make a pitch for business. But, they have other communities that they would like to other communities that have indicated they would like for Wallace to come and work with them. But when they were recruited, I think they liked the potential that they saw here in Amarillo. So, and I know when we get to the point, and I know the feeling from Wallace is any proposal that they would have or ask you to consider would be one in which they would not get any payment for projects unless those projects were completed. They come prepared to put some skin in the game, if you will, because that's how they operate. In addition, they are a developer that's also prepared to bring private equity into other projects. And private equity is a lot tougher to come by now than it was 3, 4, or 5 years ago. Revitalizing downtown, I think, is a complicated task. It's much more complicated than we would have thought just 2 years ago. While we've made some accomplishments, it's not going to be easy. It won't be smooth, but there is no doubt that it can be done. But I think the key thing is really taking a comprehensive approach, looking at the entire area of downtown. Not necessarily just one block at a time or even one project at a time. The only way that downtown redevelopment will work, or you can look at any kind of redevelopment, is when you consider the sum of all the parts of the whole. That's how it works, and I think that's going to be a key. And that point really can't be overemphasized, and I think that's why so many other communities and why we are recommending and looking at this public-private partnership. Ultimately, it's going to be up to you as the City Commission to determine if this is the path that we take. I'm proud of the work that Melissa has done, that the DAI board has done, composed of all volunteers in the last 2 years. But of course, our board can only make a recommendation for you and for you to consider it. As you go forward, I would encourage you to ask Wallace questions. Research the company, their principles, and their background, and when you get that true due diligence that's performed, I think you understand why we brought them to your attention. We wanted to come back today to reaffirm our confidence in Wallace, and our request as Downtown Amarillo and our board is to ask that the Commission consider directing the city staff to work on a contract with Wallace to undertake these community projects with the goal of bringing back an agreement to you as a body for you to be able to take a look at and consider and see if it's something that you as the city leaders feel comfortable with.
I think it's really important that we continue to move forward on this downtown. My goodness, I want people in this community to understand that this is something that we are very much committed to. And we want to get to that spot, and you're right, it has not been easy over 2 years. It has not been an easy thing to do. We have an issue that has been brought before us, and we appreciate the issue being brought to us, and we will direct staff to go ahead and study this particular issue, as well as some other things that they deem necessary, as well as DAI to continue to look at not only this issue, but if there are others. It is, unfortunately, it's a time-consuming process. It's a longer process than we would have liked, but we want to make sure that we've crossed every T and dotted every I. So your recommendation is certainly respected, and we want to approach that when the time is right. And so I know that will be something that will be brought before the commission, but we still have these little issues we need to continue to look at and make sure we all feel really comfortable about where we are and where we're headed, and for the future of this community as well as downtown is headed. So we appreciate that recommendation, Les, and I don't think we're ready to vote on anything at this point, but certainly it's not on the agenda. But I think what I would like to do is, again, ask staff to continue to look at these issues that have been brought up, as well as DAI, to bring back your response to what we've been reading lately, and let our staff know what you have found, as well as working together with everybody working together and make sure we come up with the right answer. So does that make sense? I know we're not going to be able to vote today. I know we need to continue to review this, and we really want the staff, everyone in the community, to feel comfortable about it. That is not a negative. That is not saying anything at all that there's something wrong, because I know it is hard. Everyone's going to have an issue. It seems like when we work with them on anything, but this is certainly not a negative, in my opinion. And we want to continue to move forward. I feel still very good about everything, but we want to make sure we've addressed every issue. And that's only due diligence on the part of our city commission, as well as for the city to respond. Yes,
May I say something more? Of course, I appreciate what DAI has done under your leadership, Melissa. And I think it's a matter of record. We're further down the road than this city has ever been before on this effort. And it's because of what y'all have done. And I don't want to see it get derailed now. I'm comfortable with everything you've done, including bringing Wallace to Jolly. Now, yes, some due diligence, some inspection or retrospection needs to be done. But let's keep whipping and spurring, and I'm hoping the staff gets that message from us. And I hope that's a message that we're trying to send. Not too fast, but not too slow. We need to keep moving forward because we're doing the right thing, and we're making progress, and we're going to make it happen. And I think we've got all the players in place. I think the stars are lined up for this. But we have to make a decision on this end of the people's money. It's not ours. And so it's important, but at this moment in time, I'm comfortable.
I think Les made the point that after you do your due diligence, that's going to be really important. And we have done that because that was one of the things we were tasked to do, and have provided you with that information specific to the issue you're talking about. So you should have all the information that you need to take a look at.
I personally think this is good stuff, just for the fact that it pulls out anything, and if they're quality people, they'll rise to the top anyhow. I was just telling them that we're buying some shopping centers from a guy in Waco, and he brought up the student housing just today, and he goes, well, I heard that there were some issues there, but I said, well, what did you think about the job they did in Waco? And he goes, these are the guys from Sugarland. He goes, phenomenal job. He goes, no complaints at all about this. So this is just protecting the city. I just think this is good, and I'm planning on moving on. I think they're good quality people. So
I think one of the things that was key to us is when they came into any situation, they may have acted.
Yeah.
And or they came into a situation that, through no fault of their own, was not the best situation, and fixed it. They're committed. They're committed to stick around and make things right, because things go wrong.
So, what's great about Wallace Jolly is if you look at their portfolio, they clearly are qualified and able to do this work. And what's great for the city of Amarillo and the people of Amarillo is they've been vetted by you. You're gonna be vetted by city staff. They're gonna be vetted by this commission. And I think by the time we get to the end of the road, we're gonna have more than enough confidence to be able to, to be able to make a good viable decision about that.
You know, it's not only gonna be our decision, it's gonna be the people's decision. And so you don't want anything there that would anywhere alter that. You want it to be all positive, and so I think that's the way you gotta do it, to get it done.
Well, the thing that impresses me about Wallace Bajali, or anybody else that's taken on a massive project, is first of all, they're not learning on the job. They have done it, and they've proven they can do it. They have proven that they can get it done within the framework of the money or the budget that's been set up to get it done, which is critically important. And also that they can get it done on time. Now, I think if you can meet all those criteria, I think you qualify to be seriously considered as a partner.
Well, they're certainly a qualified group, and certainly in no way a negative. The last thing I've heard about downtown is the community and maybe even staff here at City are concerned, are we really going to do this? And yes, we are really going to do this, and it's going to happen, and we appreciate everyone's hard work.
And I think really it's the getting this done, I mean, as a board that's an advisory board, to be able, I mean, we've done to this point, this is, this next step, particularly with this public-private partnership, not that there aren't other things to do, but this is really, we're at a watershed point for downtown redevelopment here, I think. And but ultimately, it's up to you. You answer directly to the people, and ultimately, it's going to be what you guys decide to do. I think our only request, and this would just be on the agree totally, we need to move prudently, but we just request that we move prudently and as quickly as possible, because I think they are, they've invested a lot of that into this. I think they put a lot of time, energy, and effort. Not that they didn't want to, but I think they just, and I think they just want to make sure that we're continuing to progress down the road.
Well, and I'm hoping that that's a message that we send to staff, that we as a commission send to staff. We want it done as quickly as it can be done, but not too quickly that we run through some stop sign or some yield sign. Stop sign is.
You had to bring it on.
Thanks, Gene.
Yeah.
But, I lost my thought.
Yeah, we talked about the momentum, continuing that momentum that we have, and we don't want to see it slacking off, and I kind of hear how we were going forward. Absolutely we are, and I know it's been tough on y'all. And
I think if you check with David or Joe or any of them, whatever information that you need, whatever you're looking for, they'd be glad to do it. But really, it's it's a point now where not that we're handing it off, I mean, we're still here available to do whatever help and assistance.
We're not going to disband the AI,
That's good for her.
You'll have a job.
The thought that I lost was that oftentimes private enterprises can move much faster than we can as a government. But yet we're being proven to be capable, so hang with us.
Can you tell us real quickly when the Marriott is going to have a grand opening? What day? I was just thinking of that today. Do you know?
It's right before Christmas. It was going to be right before Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
It's like the week before Christmas. It's
Really?
been dropped.
What do we do about those rooms we reserved? Oh.
What?
Move it up.
Oh.
The last I heard, I mean, you might double check with them, but it was like the third week
Really?
of December.
Okay. Well, that would be a good catalyst for
I think they're
downtown.
moving as fast as they can.
Mhm.
I did want to mention too, we had a really good public meeting last night.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of continuing to do the due diligence that we need to do on the different projects. We are at a point, as Les said, where we need to move forward, if we're going to move forward with Wallace Bajali in order to continue that due diligence on the ballpark.
Sure.
But had a good meeting on the presentation. This is available on our website, but I went ahead and printed off copies for you, the presentation of the findings.
What kind of attendance did you have?
Probably about 60 people there.
Wow.
It was a really good attendance.
Right there, that blue thing.
Great.
Something else for you to read.
Conversation about paper?
And there will be a Facebook document available if you want to peruse through that, but this is the results of the finding.
Great, thank you so much.
You know, one of the sins I've forgotten about downtown Amarillo, it's taken a while, but I sense a community finally coming together and saying, when is this gonna get done? Let's keep moving forward on this, let's don't stop. So, if nothing else, it has helped to get people more excited about what's going to happen in there.
Mass and I even had one of your church members in my store saying, you know, I
His
think
church.
it's a great idea to have a ballpark in town.
Yeah.
He promptly went to
What
fence.
are you picking on me for?
Cause.
You're the
Okay.
youngest.
Do y'all have any other questions? Thank y'all so much, we
Yeah,
appreciate
appreciate the
it.
opportunity.
Don't,
You bet.
hang in there, guys, hang in there, don't give up.
Thanks. See you.
Uh-huh. And we appreciate you, George, on your comments, thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.
See you.
Okay, I guess we're gonna zip through this agenda. Is there any law that says we have to go through the agenda before we go out there?
No, you can,
So if we run.
you can do a cold turkey.
That meeting could go pretty quick, wouldn't it?
Oh, okay, well, I always wanted to ask that, there's no law that says we have to.
The general purpose behind the work session is to give you an opportunity amongst yourselves and amongst staff to work through the agenda, to ask questions. Obviously, you can't make a decision. Give you a chance to have a more open, less formal, discussion and debate.
Okay.
Also, it lets us know as staff, is there something particular that's not here or that we need to have done differently? Give us a chance to set that aside and get it back to you as quick as possible.
Okay, is there one on here we really need to take a little bit more time on than the others, and then we'll start back at the front again then?
The minutes.
The minutes?
I hope it's not that bad.
What'd you say, Marcus? Hold on.
She was asking for just certain ones.
That really will take a little more time.
5, 6, and 7.
We'll go ahead and have Dean and Stephen Adams start their way up here to
Okay.
do 5, 6, and 7.
Okay,
Mayor, if we could, I can run through those first three ordinances for you pretty quickly.
okay.
The first is a rezoning to add a specific use permit over on the Plum Creek area, 600 to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you.
Kelly's here if you have any questions, if you have any comments. Come in, Kelly. So that looks like it's a logical and fits well with continued redevelopment over there. Second one, this is the next phase of your vineyards development that's going in up on North Broadway. And this zoning is just to add the next set of lots to that development as it goes. Mr. Nielsen, Tom Nielsen.
Has she started building?
Yes, they've pushed a lot out there.
A lot of dirt.
A lot of dirt and laying stuff in, so he's doing well. Item 7251 is the ordinance appointing Ms. Stacy Hand, whom you interviewed last week in closed session. This would be a part-time associate judge appointment. The only thing different than what you've done in the past, we have structured the ordinance only to run basically for a period of 10 months. We've done that then so that her term and her appointment will coincide with the other associate judges. That'll take care of those three, and we'll let Dean and Stephen talk to you about 5, 6, and 7.
This is the notice of intent to issue 4.1 million of a combination tax, and we'll probably use a water pledge to do the golf course improvements. And then also $2,260,000. That's a recommendation from the Tiers Board that they would like to issue $2,260,000 in debt to do some projects downtown. The first one being the landscaping around the Potter County Courthouse. The TERS committed to help with the courthouse renovation up to almost $1.3 million. But the Potter County Commissioners have settled on just the landscaping, which would be $750,000 roughly. But we'll also have some other funds to do some streetscaping downtown. The TERS Board is kind of looking at 6th Street, the rest of the 6th Street corridor, and maybe some of Polk Street. Putting in the street trees, the pavers, the lighting. And so the notice of intent does put everyone on notice that we do intend to issue these certificates of obligation. And also with the TERS project, we have a reimbursement resolution because Potter County would like to hire the architect and get them working, and then we could reimburse the TERS out of bond proceeds for those expenses.
Can I ask a question real quick? Larry, I thought it was $3.1 million. I didn't know it
One
Because-
what?
Well, I could've sworn the golf thing was,
Oh, okay.
The construction was estimated at 3.2. Of course, you have your professional services fees on top of that. You have your design contract and your irrigation contract that were done maybe 3 weeks ago.
And these are amounts not to exceed. So once we get estimates from the course architect, we might very well issue $3.5 million in bonds instead. But this caps the issue.
And as a reminder, of course, the tiers certificates of obligation will be supported through the growth of the tax increment, which I think, is an excellent deal. You're putting money available to them to do the real live, touch it, feel it projects. And it's a perfect example of that tool, the tiers, doing exactly what you put it in place to do. It's working.
Well,
Yeah, not-
because the tiers will be repaying that part of this issue, and the golf course fees will be paying for that portion.
Exactly, neither of these are proposed to come from your general revenues.
Right.
In fact, on the next,
Self-supporting.
So the people in your church don't need to get excited.
that's
Unless
you
they,
won't have to come down there and give
unless
us a
they,
preaching on
unless they
Sunday.
play golf or.
Well, since
and
there's
they-
a justification and need for them to get excited.
Yeah, I guess you're
They are a little bit older.
and to your point, Jim, on the next page, we're looking at the golf improvement fee generating $208,000. There'll be an additional $4 fee on the renovated Ross East course, which should generate roughly $120,000
Now, that's after completion.
after we reopen it.
Right.
And will that be with, did you buy a pass and all that stuff for that $4? It'd be two,
Two, but you also have to pay up even on a pass.
the $4.
Two.
Okay,
Two
well,
plus
you just
four.
said $4.
$4 is the add-on to the green fee.
Okay.
The
It will be
$2
added on. Yes.
to the green fee,
I'm
not
just trying
added
to
to
get
the,
this right, right, with the
not
church.
not added to the permit.
Don't you add it to
Yes.
even a permit player?
Yeah,
Even a
you do.
permit player pays the upcharge.
It'll be at least the same rate as what we're paying on the golf course,
Okay.
which is out from the old rate on the golf course.
But those combined should generate about $265,000, which is $65,000.
That's the.
Oh, pardon me, $328,000. Then the debt service would be $265,000, leaving about $65,000 in the golf improvement fund. And we've been putting in about $70,000 a year, so it leaves it almost whole.
Yeah.
So it's almost as much money as there was before.
I noticed a letter I received too. Larry, did you see that letter that, I guess that group that was in here that we thought was supportive of it, they came back and said they weren't supportive
Mr. Hamrick? is that his
Another
name?
different guy, Edmondson.
Were you here yet last week?
of it? I sure was.
Because they were right here, they kind of.
No, I haven't seen that letter.
Well, they wrote back and
I
said
don't
after
think
they,
it's the same people.
I do.
Oh, it is?
Well, they said after we visited with all the friends, we think it's a very poor idea.
Those 10 guys
Yeah. Got paid for $3.50.
around.
If, I'm anticipating that these will pass today, Steve, when will this be priced?
We will be priced, we have a schedule, a timetable of events on here, and we're expecting January the
Oh.
3rd pricing ahead of a January 4th council meeting. And if either one of them slips at that meeting, there'll still have to be a posted agenda item to move it to a later meeting.
Time is right.
Yes.
Yeah, like now.
Also, on the next page, the tiers project's also very good. The tiers participations are running about $451,000. The tiers has operating expenses, I rounded up to about $40,000, leaving $411,000 for debt service and other community projects. We expect the debt service on the $2,260,000 to be $165,000. So we'd still have almost $250,000 to do community projects annually on an ongoing basis.
And that will keep growing.
And as if the tax rate and the property values go up, this will go up, yes. So keep that in mind, get that tax
It's a
rate.
very good comfort zone, too.
Yeah, the coverage is real strong on this one.
Both of them make good coverage.
And these are COs, so it has the city's promise to repay them, even though we're gonna use the tiers revenues here, and we're gonna use the golf course revenues. If those revenues were not sufficient, the city still has to step up and pay it. That is the promise.
anymore with me.
Now, does that all make sense?
Just like water
Yeah.
from Lake Amarillo.
A little murky, huh?
Yeah.
Lake Amarillo, man. Yeah.
The ramp's still open. Yeah, you can still put a boat in water.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
The marina.
For the marina park, yeah.
Yeah.
There are
Couldn't make
Most of the marina's not floating anymore. They closed it today.
Yeah. Okay, let's see, where are we? That covers-
Consent agenda, we can run through these, I think, pretty briefly. Item A is request to award a architectural services contract to Decker, Herrick, and Sabatini for your new zoo education building. A reminder that that building's budgeted in this now current year's capital. And the vast majority of the funding, not only for this contract, but for the construction of the whole building, is from grants, private donations, and zoo admission revenues from the charges that y'all allowed us to put in place. Small amount of city capital funding, but substantial funding from those other sources. That's been a good success there.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead. Y'all have any questions? Okay. I think it's great, Larry, I'll probably ask you to speak on that if you don't mind. No, I mean, not now, I mean, not, it's out there, I'm so sorry.
Don't get excited. Calm down.
Okay, item B.
Here, item B is the acceptance, not exception, the acceptance of our 3-year grant for the homeless management information system. Pretty standard deal. Program was put in place in the previous grant cycle. It's been very good. It's used by most of the nonprofit entities and faith-based deals to service the homeless community around Amarillo. We would recommend your acceptance of that.
Is this a once-a-year grant?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Oh, three-year grant. Okay, but the one a year. One a year? 1 grant a year? 3 grants a year?
One
Grant every
grant covering
3
a
years.
3-year
Oh,
payout.
okay.
Is that
We
going
get,
down
we
or
do get
up?
the funding in 3 pieces, yes.
Okay.
It pays out for a 3-year.
Is that going down or up, or
It's level.
It's level,
It's level.
actually, you know.
from 3 years ago? Usually it's always going down.
A little bit,
A lot
anyway.
of them have.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think item number C, item letter C, kind of follows up on your discussions of downtown, as does the issuance of the Tiers Certificates of Obligation. This is approving Potter County's streetscape project for the old courthouse in the amount of $745,426. This project's exciting, so not only will it really give a lot of visibility of what we've all wanted to do with the streetscape program, it lets the tiers put a project on the ground that we can all see. It also releases the difference between the $745,000 and the roughly $1.2 million that would have been provided to Potter County through their original participation in the agreement for essentially the same level of services. So they're doing a good job with their project. They're ready to step up and put in place your streetscape project to do so at less money than at one time was anticipated. That difference, that gap, goes back into the tiers to allow them to continue to work on other projects. So it is an example of things that are happening in downtown, and seems like a very positive one for all parties.
Is that money readily available, or is that just a note?
That money will be readily available when the CO funds that we're looking at under item number 5. So the cash on hand will be in end of January, Stephen?
Yes.
Okay, okay, and then do you just turn it over to them in 1 lump sum? Is that how you do that?
We'll reimburse them as they make progress
Oh.
payments.
I see. Okay.
Mayor, final 2 items are 2 standard license and hold harmless agreements that we have on a couple of properties open downtown.
What's United Way?
Right off of-
Harmless Street for? They have property on First Street?
Judge,
Kind of resource.
United Way's license and hold harmless is for a porch. A cover over the porch because it extends to the right of way.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, thank you so much. We have 2 minutes.